Here's my case of extra parts and work in progress stuff. Duramax. Just check my hands too. Don't want to have really paint-filled hands. And let's get the box. So there's still a lot to do for Ritsuka, but we're very close to finishing her. I decided to start this model just because we could kind of work on it, and it's fairly easy. That's another thing that I really like about this model. It's really easy to build, but the parts just come together so nicely. All right. Let's see here. Okay, we finished the first step, and I actually put together the parts really, like, loosely. I didn't fit it in perfectly just because I want to have the option open to disassemble if need be. So let's get to it. We need B1, B1-8, and B1-9. It still kind of freaks me out how easy it is to pop out these parts. Yeah, I don't even need that. And I think that they can get away with it because the parts are quite thick. Oh, we're making both at the same time. Okay, let's just B1-8 and B2-8. Okay, that's how they're doing it. B1-8 and B2-8. Yeah. Okay. That doesn't matter. Yeah, these three. Did you feel the bags? Night Trap just came by and he delivered something very interesting. Look at these. Ooh. Kind of get into these a little later. Kentuan. What is up, Kentuan? So yeah, well, this will be the left arm and this will be the right arm, I guess. B1-8, B2-8. And we need B1-9. B1-9 and B2-9. Yeah, I think that they can get away with pushing out these parts like this just because the parts are kind of thick, right? Thus far I haven't seen anything really thick, rather thin, that would break. Yo, open them on stream. Yeah, we'll do that. We will do that for sure. Let's just let's at least finish attaching the arms on, and then we'll have a little break. So now we need A11, A1, A111. Yep, A111 and A211. The thing about the Muppets is that I just love all the Muppets. So in my opinion, there's not like a bad pull. It's like, yeah, sweet. Bring it on. Animal. The one Muppet with like the big lips. Sure, why not? I like them all. And now we need A112 and A212. Okay. Are you working today, Kentuan? Mojo was in earlier. I feel like I never see you and Mojo at the same time in my chat. It's very funny how that works out. It's either one or the other. There you go. Okay. Let's do a little bit of cleanup. I have the nippers here, but I feel like I don't really even need them with this kit. It's weird. Previously, Bacon was asking if I feel like this might be something that they might carry on forward with the rest of the range for other grades. And I think that that is a pretty good idea. But again, if they ever release a kit, other kits in this style, and they have thin parts, then it's an issue. So yeah, that's the main thing. Unless they can do it in such a way that you can poke out the thin parts and you're not going to run the risk of them breaking, that's the main thing. And it also, there's like this weird psychological effect where it's like it just kind of seems wrong to just poke out the parts like this. It's perfectly fine. I think that the results look pretty good regardless, but it's still kind of like weird. Like my brain is telling me that that's wrong. Bacon, am I suggesting that they're actually the same person? I did put forward that theory at some point in time before, but I think there's overwhelming evidence that they are indeed two different people. So it's gonna take that's the job for those conspiracy theorists to put together a solid theory as to how it can be that they look like two different people, that they have appeared in chat two different times, separately talking to each other. There's a lot of strong evidence saying that they're not, but I have my suspicions. They could be. They could be. There is a tiny little like kind of nub indentation. Like a piece of plastic got tore off. That can kind of sometimes happen with this setup, the way they've done it, the way you poke things out. That can kind of happen, and if you file away at it, you could probably get down to a point where it's not as noticeable or virtually gone. And in some cases, it could be hidden, the nub, so it's not that big of a deal. But that's the one hang up I have. I actually think that if you were to use a single-bladed nipper, that would probably be very effective for this in this case. I'm just kind of going around the parts and seeing if anything needs cleaned up. And so yeah, I think I'm going to be painting this guy, and I'm pretty sure I want to just kind of stick with the standard Grandpa kind of color scheme. If anything, I might kind of go a few shades lighter than the standard and kind of use what would normally be his mid-tone as a shadow, rather. If anything, I might do that. But I don't really know. I don't know. That's another thing that if I intend to paint this model, I don't have to worry about the nubs being like discolored or whatever. Let's see. Okay, let's just put these parts together then, because that'll help us in understanding what we need to kind of clean up. Oh, okay. So it just clips on like that, huh? Interesting. And it's happened on more than one occasion where I'm putting together this model, and I barely look at the instructions, and the parts just come together so nicely. It's fitted so nicely. And this is actually my first Bandai kit, my first proper Gunpla kit, I guess, since coming back to the hobby. I did put together Ritsuka. However, that model is older. This is more representative of Bandai's sort of modern production skills, I guess. And I have to say, I'm pretty impressed. I've always maintained that I want to buy like a real grade to see further advancements to see and experience what that would be like as well. But I just haven't really found something that catches my eye. Bacon, I was really close to getting the EG new Gundam, but figured I'll wait in case they release a different version. I really do think they will. I am also strongly considering getting that. I mean, it's not like a big deal in terms of like how much it costs. So you could always just take a chance on it just to experience what the build is like. I have an old new Gundam model kit which did have the funnels. So if anything, I could possibly harvest the funnels from that guy and maybe slap them on this guy, on the new guy. That might be kind of interesting. But they will eventually release the funnels as a separate kit. Rather, as another kit, I think. Just like they did with this set here. Okay. I need... Oh, there's all my sanding stuff. Let's get that ready. And sticks, my sticks. Yeah, Mojo was in here earlier talking about Ghostwire Tokyo. Sounds like he's enjoying it. Color me surprised about that one. I honestly didn't think much of it, Ghostwire Tokyo, but it sounds like he's having a good old time with it. So yeah, still not gonna get it. The only reason I'd get it is if I can find it for like crazy cheap. That's basically the only way I'd probably get it. But he made it sound fun. I like fun. I like fun games. My assessment of it was that it seemed just like a standard first-person shooter, just with like a very interesting kind of skin, right? Like a horror themed, Japanese horror themed. But he made it sound like the side quests were really fun in sort of like the Yakuza kind of way. Like, oh, there's Mojo, Ghostwire, 10 out of 10. Oh my god. Yeah, he made it sound like the side quests were fun, kind of almost in a Yakuza kind of way, which was like, oh, okay. Now you're talking. Talking my language. Bacon, this is coming from Mojo, the same person who thinks God of War is a 10 out of 10. Not only does he think it's a 10 out of 10, IGN agrees with him. And we all know that IGN is the gold standard of video game opinions. What they say goes. They're basically the high council. One thing that I had seen regarding the hand scale Mecha Musume kits is that they're so small that the nub marks are more pronounced because they just occupy so much more space on the model, right? Which that doesn't sound so exciting to me. I do like the look of those models, but that part doesn't sound so good. Ghostwire's better than God of War? Come on. Are you on something right now, Mojo? Are you on your meds? Got some sleepy pills? What do you want? Helping to defeat your rot status? Because that sounds a little nutty. Okay. That goes on like that. And we have to do this once again for this part here. So they've actually kind of made it a little easier for people that intend to paint this model, because you can actually disassemble some of these parts. Oh, okay, there you go. I keyed. But I don't know, you haven't finished it yet. Maybe when you do finish it, you'll be like, damn. We need to do another greatest game of all time podcast. I need to revise it. I need to go back in time yet again. Do you guys remember the other horror game? There was this other horror game that was shown during the PlayStation, big showcase thing last summer, and it was called like Slitherhead. Do you guys remember that? It was that looked promising also. Like I don't know if it's gonna end up being good, but that it did look pretty scary. The whole concept of the enemies, they kind of just like normal people, but then their head splits open. That looked pretty cool. Bacon the rot got to him, losing his mind like Radon. He's on the battlefield on his tiny little horse, screaming to the stars, God of War is the best! Okay. I feel like I could do a better job cleaning up these parts, but I also want to just see the progress on this model, and so I feel like I just want to kind of power through and just see it assembled, and then we can kind of go back and clean up these parts. So I'm just so excited by the build. The build is so smooth. Oh, so you put another cap around this? Say what? Okay, let's get out the other piece we need. We need B14. B14. How does this clip on? Let me see. Oh, very easy. Okay, let's put that lightly. Again, that went in so nicely. That extra part, that went on so smoothly, and I barely had to think about it. That was so crazy. Very easy thing to put together. There, let's put it in just slightly. 7.5 out of 10 for Ghostwire Mojo. It's not bad. It's not too bad. B14. All things considered, if you're the type of person to use the entirety of the 10-point scale, then 7.5 isn't all that bad. You know how IGN just, it seems like 7 is the base level for like all games for them when it should be more like 5. But yeah, if you're using like the entire scale, that's not so bad. B14. Here, let's see, we're having a little bit of resistance here, so let's use these babies. Oh, hype train, hype train. Let's get this window here. Bacon. The Mojo Fest. We need to assemble the finest gamers to help convince him God of War is overrated. Yeah, he's just storming around that big battlefield, shouting to the heavens, God of War is the best. And then there's just a bunch of gamers and game critics that are awaiting the start of Mojo Fest. And that's the funny thing. They call it a festival, but like it's so it's so depressing. Like, oh, guys, I thought this was supposed to be a festival. And then in the middle of the fight, it's like Bacon gets summoned. What was that noise? There was a train. That was probably what you heard. Let's see. This just goes on like this? This seems very... Oh, okay, again. It just goes on so smoothly. And we can kind of leave it a bit there. So impressed by that. Okay, let's do it again. What's the hype train? Obviously. I want you to use your powers of deduction, Cantuan, and if that's what you heard, then maybe you can put two and two together, and I don't have to waste time explaining to you that maybe I do live close to a train. Mojo. Ghostwire is an example of a game that is better with the DualSense. Oh. B17 and B27. B17. Ah, weird. It's a weird looking part. B17 and B27. Better with the DualSense, huh? That sounds cool. So would you say that the DualSense is definitely not a gimmick, and it's a feature that is integral to the gaming experience, or rather, it has the potential to increase your enjoyment of a game, and it's the absence of DualSense will you'll feel it, like you'll miss it. Canton, well, that is news to me, fam. So come on, yeah, I'm just giving you a hard time. I feel like questions like that you could probably figure it out yourself without having to ask me. That's why I put it that way. And we need A113 and A2. It's also not really interesting either. Like, you know, it's not like it does that reshape your opinion of me and my stream that there's a train here. It's not really that big of a deal. So again, it's not something that really bears mentioning more than I have to close my window occasionally. Although, the last time I streamed, I was feeling really lazy, so I just let it open and just let the train be super loud. Mojo, if there wasn't DualSense capabilities, you wouldn't enjoy it as much. So wow, would it go down an entire grade? Because you gave it 7.5. So would it become 6.5, or is that like does DualSense give it like a 0.5? Some of these mold lines, like they kind of end up in weird spots, like the fist here, and it's a little hard to kind of determine how I should kind of shave it and trim it down. I've seen that some people kind of reinforce details on the model by scribing. I've seen that sometimes. A little too lazy to do that personally, but it's an option. It's an option. Yeah, so there was a mold line here, very faint, and I'm just kind of getting rid of it, and we're just going to kind of do a pass over the entire surface, and it's virtually gone now. The knuckle, the fist, is a bigger issue, and I haven't fully decided. This is the save room music, isn't it? Or no, is it the save selection music for Castlevania? I've always liked it. Bacon. Don't listen to him, Kentuan. He lives on a flying house that is constantly moving around. Maybe I'm living in a moving castle, like Howl. Howl's moving castle. Ipo's moving castle. Okay. Mojo, yes. I give it a 6.5 without DualSense. 6.5 without DualSense. Damn. I actively look for combat to feel those haptics. When you feel the haptics, do you go like, oh? Do you get the shivers? Are you like, oh? Oh. That's cool though. I'm hoping that that's a feature that we're gonna see more devs, more third-party devs, integrate into their games. My feeling is that soon after the launch of the PS5, and there was a lot of buzz about the haptics, Phil Spencer put out a statement saying something along the lines of like, yeah, we think it's awesome too. And so we're looking into it. You know, in so many words, he said something like that. And while we can kind of poo-poo on the idea of ripping off someone's novel idea, which is to say that it's not that novel after all. The whole haptics thing, it's just executed very well with the DualShock. In fact, the same company that did the haptics for the Nintendo Switch, I believe it's an American company, they also were hired to do the haptics for Sony. So it was not something that was developed internally at Sony. Oh. Where's the fist? The fist almost dropped. But yeah, like we could poo-poo the idea of Microsoft ripping off that haptic idea. At the same time, I think it's a great way to ensure that more developers incorporate it into their games, right? So if we see, suddenly Microsoft, who own like, a third of the industry at this point, right? Suddenly all their developers have to get on board with it, and that ensures that, future Bethesda games, future Activision games, future Minecraft stuff, all of that is going to have haptics too, which is a good thing. Canton, so like Up the movie? Up? Oh my god. Up. It's good, but it's kind of depressing. Mojo, oh yeah, baby, I feel the haptics down to my toes. Toe curling haptics. It's like people are trying to talk to you, your friends or family, while you're playing your games, and you're just like, don't talk to me, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Bacon, my bet is no. As usual, the gaming industry is held back by Microsoft. Right. However, as I said, Phil Spencer did make it sound, at least in the early parts of this gen, that he was going to look into it and do something and rip them off, in so many words. So, yeah. I mean, if they end up doing something along those lines, then yeah, I feel like a lot of the industry is going to follow in suit. Possibly, maybe. Minecraft with haptics? Tell me where to sign. Oh, look at that, guys. Got the arms. Look at that. Look at that. I actually really love how simple the design is, how clean and simple it is, and yet it's just really posable too. Really nice. B16 and B26. There we are. B16 and B26. There we go. B16 and B26. I'm pretty sure Trinity sells like a upgrade pack for the RX-78 high grade so like you can kind of like put more details into it. It's 3D printed parts. I think by a Canadian-based publisher, producer, maker. And so I'm wondering if that would apply to this model too, because it is also 1 in 1/44 scale, just like the high grade. I wonder. It would be a matter of the proportion though, because despite the fact that both of these models, both the entry grade and the high grade are 1/144th scale models, they probably have some artistic interpretation with regards to the proportions and stuff of the model between the two. So I'd have to look into that more. Because yeah, this model comes with no stickers and no decals, and I think it might be a good idea to have some decals, at the very least, some decals, but possibly some upgrade parts. I don't know. That seems pretty extra for an entry grade, right? If anything, maybe I could make some detail parts myself with plot plate or something like that. I don't know. Bacon, shit talk aside, it's nice to have devs and publishers ripping off each other when it comes to innovative stuff like this. Yeah, yeah, and again, it was Nintendo that really pioneered the haptics in their Switch controller. It's just that they never really had any good games that really made it shine, I guess. In the same way that we're seeing it shine in Nintendo, sorry, in Sony games. And also, I think the execution was just not as good. Like they probably, because it was the same company, they probably have iterated on the tech, but in the time between the Switch and the PS5. Just a guess. Carbon Dobbs, how's it going, Carbon Dobbs? How are you doing? What am I planning on doing for this EG? So yeah, I do plan on painting it. I'm planning on painting him, and I think I'm going to stick pretty close to the original color scheme for this model. But I'll probably be doing some weathering, some light weathering on him, not to the extent that I did some of the other models that I've been working on, where I've really gone in and went in fairly heavy with the weathering. I think this time around, I'll try and go a bit lighter with the weathering. And I also want to buy a decal pack, because this kit doesn't come with any decals or stickers. So yeah, I want to chuck some, they put like numbers and stuff. I want to do that. Carbon is now following. Thank you for the follow, Carbon. What are you up to these days? What are you up to? Thanks for the follow. Very nice of you. You've had better days. Had to deal with a funeral today, so at the moment just chilling and staring at my custom build. And that sounds dope as fuck. What's your custom build? And I'm actually sorry to hear about that there, Carbon. Sorry to hear about that. That's never an easy thing. But I hope that you're around people, friends and family that can kind of help you through this time. Okay, guys. Let's finish off this page, and then we'll move on to the second. We'll move on to something else a little different today. How about that? It's the waist. Let's do the waist. A219. Oop, this is not the right one. Carbon, 1 day at a time. Yep, just if you can make it 1 day, that's a win. That's a win in my book, man. Especially these days. Currently painting up The Supernova Heavy Arms. Oh, okay. Is that a... Where's that from? Is that from Wing Gundam? Pardon my ignorance. I'm actually quite the noob when it comes to the actual Gundam shows. I'm fairly new to this whole thing overall. I've talked about this before, but I've only just recently come back to this building hobby. And I come from more of a Warhammer background, and even then, I feel like I've only recently come back to that. All thanks to the horrible state of the world these days, the pandemic and stuff. Everyone's been rediscovering hobbies and stuff. A A13. A13. Okay, here we are. It's from Wing. Okay. Doing a digital army paint scheme on it. Oh, that's very interesting. So, have you purchased some kind of what do they call that? A mask, some kind of template masking kit. Stencil. That's the word I'm looking for. Have you bought some kind of stencil kit so that you can do that, or are you doing it by hand, masking off areas with tape or something like that? Sounds very exciting. That's cool. But Supernova is a third-party company that made it. Oh, ooh. So that's a world that I'm super not familiar with. I've only really heard about it. So does that mean it's cast in resin, or is it also in plastic? Like ABS or polystyrene plastic? That's very interesting. B212. Here we are. Carbon, to be honest, COVID introduced me into this hobby. Oh, okay. So you're fairly new to all of this as well. That's cool. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people in that kind of situation. And I'm sure Bandai is very happy about that. Bandai and Lego. if I'm sure there's a lot of people that got into Lego because of the pandemic, all that stuff. A lot of crafters in general, like, man. I mean, I look down the crafting aisle at stores or Michael's and stuff, and I just look at like all the different things that they have, and I'm like, huh, maybe I want to do that too. Maybe I want to make a resin something or other. Maybe I want to use a bedazzler. Carbon, lots of masking involved, and yes, I bought the pre-cut digital print masking tape sheet. Really helpful, but I am painting it via standard paintbrush. Ooh, paintbrush. Nice. It's made of ABS, more often than not. There are resin conversion kits for Gunpla. Yeah, so yeah, whenever I hear third party, my mind instantly goes to third party stuff. Rather resin, but yeah, I guess yeah, they would use normal ABS as well. Cool. So was this a situation where you felt like the base kit or something like that just wasn't enough, or is there even a base kit? I think there is, right? Just wasn't like exactly what you were looking for, and so you went and got the third party? Third party kits need a lot of work. It will test your skill as a builder. Well, then I'm definitely going to hold off on things like that, because I feel like I'm such a huge noob already, and I'm very prone to breaking things, as some of the people in chat may already know. So I might hold off on investigating that as far as something that I'd want to buy. But I do think it's a really interesting aspect of the hobby. And yeah, you see that too in the world of Warhammer and stuff. There's definitely people out there that build or produce third-party, unofficial kits and stuff. It's interesting. Bacon. Oop, I missed Bacon here. We have another mad lad who paints Gunpla with a paintbrush. Lots of fitting issues with them. Yes, sir, I'm a freak with a brush. Carbon. Uh, I don't know. It doesn't seem that unusual for me. I feel like airbrushing is kind of like the gold standard, or is that the word I want to use? It's kind of like the de facto standard using airbrushing. However, it's been my experience that there's plenty of people out there that kind of use whatever, use a brush, use a can, whatever works. That's sort of my position. My official position is whatever gets the job done. And if it looks good, looks good. Carbon, nope, just something new for my collection. And as for me getting into Gunpla, I cook for a living. Oh, interesting. And needed something to keep my hands busy. And well, Gunpla does that plus so much more for me mentally. Yeah, I 100% agree with you with regards to the mental health aspect. And in fact, the same applies for like painting miniatures and stuff for me too. Um, Especially in the winter. I don't know. I get so bummed out in the winter. It's just so bleak and dreary in Canada. That's where I'm from, by the way, Canada. In the winter season, and I turn to miniatures, and it's just such a nice activity to do, yeah, basically the same pretty much applies to Gunpla. Even though it can be kind of stressful in terms of like putting on decals or painting models or working on really thin parts, it's also just hugely satisfying when you're done. And yeah, that's what I'm after. I love that satisfying feeling. And yeah, I totally agree. It's just so good for the for your mental health, just to have a just to have that for yourself. And I've really enjoyed similarly. I've really enjoyed um, streaming in general, but also streaming like building stuff like this, because again, it's just a great way of meeting like-minded people like yourself and many others who have come into my stream. Um, and yeah, we're all just big nerds talking about big nerdy stuff, building our little our little toys, and it's just good. I love it, man. So good. Let me catch up with the chat. Meta. Another knucklehead. Yup. I'm in Ontario. I don't know whereabouts you're from. You don't have to submit that information if you do not want to. That's perfectly fine. Bacon, Bacon, for the record, I'm referring to IPA when it comes to painting Gunpla with a brush. I haven't done any myself. Oh, yeah. But maybe in the distant past you have painted some Gunpla, maybe? Kentuan, but you done airbrushing though. Isn't that some form of painting? Bacon. Carbon, I don't airbrush whatsoever. Ah, I see. Everyone here is Canadian. Back off. Oh, hey, you're Canadian, eh? You know that always kind of always rubs me the wrong way whenever you see people impersonate Canadians. Since we're having a little Canadian powwow over here, it always kind of irritated me when you see impersonations of Canadians on TV, and it's like, I don't think we talk like that. In fact, it's just like America. There isn't one singular Canadian accent. It depends on where you're from. People from Calgary talk a certain way. People from Nova Scotia talk a certain way, and then you have even within Ontario itself, especially when you talk about urban areas like Toronto, you'll have just so many people from different places that they just have their own accents. So, yeah, it's always kind of been I find it funny. Some people do it really funny, but more often than not, when you get like an American comedian and they do the whole like a boot thing, like come on, man, like I've never encountered anyone that says a boot. I have no idea where that came from. A boot. And can I just say, this is a totally off topic, but this is really reminding me of Kraft sliceable cheese. These look like cheese slices from Kraft. It's almost got the exact same color. And I think I want a grilled cheese sandwich now. I'm gonna get a grilled cheese sandwich later tonight. Not for dinner, but for tonight. Okay, so there is a specific orientation for this. I can't tell. Well, let's just hope for the best. Put these little cheese blocks in. Nice and cheesy. Look at that. All Ontario, Canton. Yep, although we don't have to submit personal information if we don't want to on the behalf of others. Just keep that in mind. But you didn't airbrush the Archer? Nope, he was just weathering. Yep. Carbon depends on where you go in Canada. Yep, a boot. Carbon, Ontario is a US of Canada, if you think about it, with the mindset some of us have. Interesting. Canada is... Wait, so are we America's hat? I've heard that sometimes. America's hat. Bacon, you're gonna say a boot now? A boot? I can't get over how cheese like this looks. This looks so much like cheese, or kind of like an 8-bit depiction of sunny side up eggs. But maybe I'm just hungry. Maybe I'm just being hungry. Okay, this goes here like this. Now, I've seen people, have you seen this for anyone? The wife needs me, Carbon? Well, you know what they say, a happy wife is a happy life. Is that the saying? Have you seen this where people slice the middle part here so that they can independently move? I've seen that. I don't know if that is a good idea to do for this model. We'll leave it as is for now. But I've seen that. And now we need B111. B111. Oh, here we are. Bacon, that's new to me. At least I haven't tried that myself. Yeah, so it's a thing. I think it's more of a thing for RG kits, TBH, where this part is a single piece, right, as you saw. And so people have, as I said, sliced it so now that they can move independently. So when you're posing this guy, you can have one leg up, and the flap here will be angled appropriately, and if you have one leg down, this will remain down, because as it is, if I tried the same pose, it would just be like that, right? Both would be going woohoo. You'd be seeing you'd be seeing grandpa's goodies. A boot. Did you guys ever watch Degrassi? Any Degrassi fans? I actually, so I would have been old enough to watch Degrassi Junior High and stuff from the start, but I never really watched it as a kid. I was in my teenage years I started to watch Degrassi, and I ended up liking it. It was kind of like, it was basically 90210 before 90210. And in fact, when Fox was looking to make an American, teen high school drama, they actually attempted to purchase Degrassi Junior High from Canada, from the the CBS or whatever, first, but that didn't pan out, and so we kept our Canadian heritage. It was a Canadian heritage moment. We chased off the Americans, but yeah, I liked it. It's kind of like a 90210 or whatever, but I feel like it's a whole lot more realistic. The kids in it seem like real teenagers. For example, if you watch any American teen high school drama like The OC or 90210, all of the actors in those shows, they're probably 25, possibly even in their 30s, right? And yet they're supposed to be 15-year-olds. They look like men and women, like straight up adults. However, whenever you watch Degrassi Junior High or Degrassi High School, the Canadian show, they just look like teenagers, like real ass teenagers. So that means they're small, they're little children almost practically. And it just seems a lot more realistic, and the stuff that they deal with seems realer. Bacon, I never watched them. I think I was mainly watching anime at the time. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you probably were. And I never really brought it up in high school either. That was just something that I enjoyed privately in my own time.